So I've been using the Samsung Galaxy S24 since it came out, and this is the real iPhone killer that nobody is talking about. So let's talk about it. Alright, let's talk about the design of the S24 first. So the S24 hasn't changed much from the S23 if you look at them side by side, but that's not to say that the design is bad on this phone. It's a nice minimal design. It does seem like Samsung has taken some inspiration from the competition and smoothened the sides, so the phone does look pretty similar to the iPhone with flat sides. But in my opinion, it is a welcome change. It does feel overall pretty nice in the hand, although it is a little bit slippery. It is made of aluminium, not titanium like the S24 Ultra is. However, it still looks nice and it still feels premium. It is a matte phone, so it does look nice, and it's pretty hard to make this phone have fingerprints, especially this marble grey color that I have here. It's white, as you guys can see. It does look pretty white. However, yeah, you won't be worrying about any smudges or fingerprints anywhere. However, because it is a matte phone, it is pretty slippery. So yeah, you might want to put a case on this phone. Now the phone is also refreshingly light compared to the phone that I've been using. The iPhone 13 Pro with the stainless steel bands is pretty heavy. This is made of aluminium and glass, and even though it is a glass phone, it is still pretty light. Not the lightest phone I've ever held, but yeah, this just feels refreshingly light compared to the phone I've used before. Now let's move on to the 6.2 inch Super AMOLED 120Hz LTPO display at the front of the phone. Now Samsung do have a reputation of often having really nice displays on their phone, and this without a doubt is one of those. Although it is capped at 1080p, that's not really a problem because it is a pretty small phone compared to the rest. And I say small, it still comes at 6.2 inches, which is pretty small compared to the 6.8, even 6.9 inch phones we get in 2024. So yeah, being 1080p isn't really a problem because it is a pretty small phone. It's not going to look like it's a low resolution. If you're a normal person just looking at it, just consuming content, then it looks absolutely fine. Now the display is 120Hz, which means you are getting a smooth display. So this means when you're browsing Twitter, you're browsing Instagram, even browsing TikTok, when you're moving, the overall display refreshes at 120Hz. And it also goes down to 1Hz to save battery. So when you are using the always on display, or you're on an image on the screen where it's not moving about, then the 1Hz will come in handy to save you a little bit of battery life. Now onto the colors. Now the S24 Ultra has been a bit controversial because the anti-reflective coating has meant that the vibrancy on the display is actually lower. Now I can say this isn't a problem here, but it is also kind of a problem. Let me explain. So we don't have the anti-reflective coating that the S24 Ultra has on the S24 and S24 Plus, which means that yeah, reflections are still pretty bad on the actual display. Especially if you are spoiled from the S24 Ultra with the anti-reflectiveness, then yeah, this is just really bad. However, you can actually get anti-reflective screen protectors. For some reason, I conveniently have them right behind me. Do you guys want me to make a video on these? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now, because we don't have this anti-reflective coating, it also comes as a bit of a plus. We have very vibrant colors coming on the display, sharp, and they pop out the screen. Comparing this side by side with an S24 Ultra, this actually comes out more vibrant than the actual S24 Ultra, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, if you are somebody who likes that vibrant look, a display that looks like it's showing all the colors possible, then the S24 has a really good display, an A+ display on this phone. They also trimmed down the bezels quite a bit on this year's phone, which just makes it look nicer overall. All the bezels are even, also the bottom, which is normally thicker on the older Samsung phones, which is nice to see. And yes, of course, we have that hole punch, which is also slightly smaller than last year. Overall, yeah, this is a great display. It's also extremely bright, coming in at 2600 nits peak in the sun. Yeah, you're not going to have any problems viewing this outdoors. Now, moving on to the performance of this phone, which once again is a little bit controversial, but after using it for a while, I can clearly say this is a great performing phone. Now, here in the UK, we don't have the Snapdragon chip like the S24 Ultra. We have the Exynos 2400 or something like that. I don't know if I got that right. But yeah, I'm not going to bore you with numbers and graphs. I'm going to tell you straight up that for the everyday consumer, the average consumer, you're not going to find any slowdowns, any hiccups, or any crashes with this phone. Surprisingly, Samsung have done a pretty good job with their Exynos chips this year, which makes me wonder why haven't they done this before. But yeah, side by side with an S24 Ultra, if you're going through just daily apps, watching YouTube, scrolling through Twitter, the performance is indistinguishable. I'm going to go as far as to say if Samsung even did put the Snapdragon chip in here, it wouldn't have really made a big difference. End user experience for the average person who's going to be using this phone, who this phone is marketed towards, this is going to be completely fine. Speaking of efficiency and everything, the battery life on this phone is also pretty good. It will comfortably last you throughout the day. We have a 4000 milliamp hour battery in here. And yes, you have wireless power share, you have wireless charging, you have wired fast charging. And yeah, even with light use, I can see myself going through 2 days with this phone. This is a really solid battery phone. Now the cameras. On the back of the S24, we have a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 50 megapixel normal camera, and a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto camera. Now the overall photos maintain the same high saturation that Samsung does with their photos. And in some photos it does look nice, but in some photos it's a little bit much. HDR is actually better in the S24 compared to previous Samsung phones. I'm guessing AI is definitely a big help with the S24 series this year in terms of photos as well. And honestly, I'm impressed with the photos this phone takes. It's got great sharpness. I would just personally turn down the saturation just a little bit in some photos. In some photos it's completely fine, but then in others it's just a bit much. The video has also been improved compared to previous iterations, and yeah, Samsung have had okay video, but it can definitely be a lot better. Something I've noticed within the S24 is that the video does get a little bit noisy when the lighting isn't perfect. So if the lighting is a little bit dark or in darker areas of the video, it does get a little bit noisy. But when you have like good lighting when you're outside, then the video looks really good. But then once you step down the lighting and it gets a little bit dark, then the video also, I guess, gets dark and just doesn't look as good as it did. You can record in 8K if you want to, but that does crop in a little bit. But yeah, overall Samsung have definitely improved the cameras, and overall it is a great set of cameras. I'd give it a B+ to an A. If the video was better, this would have been an A-star set of cameras. And also the saturation just needs to be turned down a little bit, but at the end of the day, this is a Samsung phone. Samsung like to turn their saturation a bit up, just so it's more appealing to the human eye. But yeah, personally, I'd keep the saturation a little bit down. So in conclusion, Samsung have really made a well-refined phone. They have refined the S series, so the S24 is a really good overall package. If you're going to be buying an S24, I would personally say that you are not going to be regretting your purchase. I've been using the S24. I have an S24 Ultra on hand, but I've been using the S24. And I can safely say that, yeah, I've been enjoying the use of this phone. Its compact design. Like saying a 6.2-inch phone is compact in 2024 is just the norm now, which is a bit odd. But yeah, it just feels nice. It's light. It has the power for everything you need to do. And overall, I personally think the S24 is the real iPhone killer that nobody has been talking about. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. More videos coming soon. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.